This is Danny Gould with the Selling Silicon Valley Group. Welcome everyone to another Silicon Valley Market Snapshot for the first week here in March of 2020. We're already in March. It's insane how fast this year has gone. And not only that, but it's also quite crazy to think about how fast this market has turned. You know, even a few months ago, we saw the writing on the wall, but now that we're in it real time, and we'll get into this in a second, but it is really accelerated quickly, so much so that even like the Mercury News is picking up on it. And that's actually what I wanted to start this week off with, but I'm gonna end it with how the current disaster of the month, this month's disaster of the month, the flavor is coronavirus. So we'll talk about how coronavirus is gonna affect the Bay Area housing market here, or how it could potentially shape up and impact the Silicon Valley marketplace. But let's start with the Mercury News article written by Lewis Hanson. Lewis, you're a great guy. I don't know you personally, but I'm sure you're a great guy. Bay Area home prices regaining momentum. And what I thought was very interesting is he starts off right away saying Bay Area home prices have started to pick up, with cautious buyers stepping back into the market amid low inventory and steady demand. Isn't it funny how he says with cautious buyers stepping back into the market? Think about that, right? If you're cautious, shouldn't you be buying when the market's a little iffy, right? Like if you're caught, so this is the interesting thing for me, right? And maybe that's not the right wording, but what I'm trying to say is that people like to follow the crowd. And this is something I've been talking about for a long time. Buyers have this herd mentality, and then when one starts to buy, everyone starts to buy. The time to buy was 6 months ago, but now everyone seems to want to buy. He goes on to say that Santa Clara County, the median home price is up 2.7%. I never paid too much attention to that, but the median home price here in Santa Clara County, $1.21 million. This winter is a very different picture from last winter in the Bay Area, said Zillow economist Jeff Tucker. Buyers have really come back to the table. I'd like to turn your attention to the trend graphics reports for this winter here. The single family sector actually had more buyers last year. There were 441 single families sold in January of 2019 versus 415 sold this January of 2020. So Mr. Tucker, with all due respect, you're wrong. Buyers have always been here. The buyers are not back, right? Like, now, there might be more buyers, there might be more competition, but not absorption, but number of homes sold. Actually, there were more homes sold last January than there were this January. The difference is inventory. And that is ultimately, if you've been watching these videos for any period of time, the number one indicator of how the market is going. If the inventory is low, things are really good for sellers. If the inventory is high, things are not so great for sellers. And everything in the middle, it just depends on how nice your house is and where it's located and what the schools are, etc. But right now, the going is very good. Now, obviously for condos and townhomes, if you look at the graph down below, you'll see that in January we had 199 condos, townhomes sold, as opposed to January of last year, 157. So there is a little bit of a difference there, but not that big of a difference. Now, obviously, Tucker goes on to say inventory is so low, homes aren't languishing, blah, blah, blah. But here's the bottom line, is that the story is not the buyers coming back. The story is the inventory being low. Now, at the end of the article here, there's another line that really sticks out to me. They go on to talk about how crazy the market is and how many multiple offer situations there are out there. And this is not front page news. If you've been watching these videos for any period of time, you'll know that for the last 2 to 3 months, even back in December, we were seeing some properties getting 10, 20, 30, 40 offers. This is common now in the Bay Area and is common in these types of environments. But what I thought was very interesting was this line right here, this turnkey ready homes are appealing to young couples. Buyers, this is how they end the article. Buyers want move in ready. They really don't have the time. Well, this is interesting, right? Because yeah, buyers who are buying in today's marketplace, what's the typical avatar for a home buyer here in Silicon Valley? It's that young working tech professional couple, young working couple, right? They're usually tech professionals or in some very high paying job. They're both working 9 to 5. And they don't have the time, the bandwidth, the energy to go in there and make improvements on their own. Not only that, but most of their capital is tied up into the home itself in the form of a down payment. They don't have an extra 30, 40, 50 grand to go floating to make the repairs necessary, and they don't have an extra 10 to 20 grand to just buy the materials and the time to do it themselves. So what's interesting, and I wanna kind of weave this into everything else, is right now in Silicon Valley, there are a lot of baby boomers who are making their exit. And I predict, I expect, all the trends, everything show that for the next foreseeable future, the number of baby boomers moving out will continue to grow and grow and grow. Well, what does that mean for Silicon Valley home buyers? Well, for home buyers, that means that more and more homes that have been lived in for 20, 30 plus years are going to be coming on the market. Now, here's a problem, right? Well, if these sellers have lived in it for 20, 30 plus years, how updated do we think the home is going to be? Probably not too updated. There are a plethora of programs that are coming out that are being rolled out to a city near you through many companies, including Intero, which will actually do the renovations for the seller at no cost to the seller. All they need to do is basically pay for the entirety of the service, the concierge service, right? And the concierge service does charge, but there is no upfront cost. Everything gets done at close of escrow. And there are many companies that do that. Intero actually has, in my opinion, after studying, the best one. It's called Pinnacle. And if you're interested in learning more about it, you can definitely reach out to me at the number right there. Okay? I don't know. It should be right there or right there. I don't know where the number is going to be, but it'll be in the lower third. So you can talk to me more about Pinnacle, but what I think is very interesting is that there is a subset of people that are going to be hiring agents that don't have anything like that to offer them, and they're going to put their home on the market, and they're not going to get what they ultimately could, and this is going to become more and more and more of a trend. There's no conclusion to that. There's really not. It's just, let's keep this let's keep this at the top of our minds here, moving into 2021 and in the future. I expect to see more and more, and that could ultimately impact the palatability of the housing market to the buyers that are looking in the Bay Area. What does that mean? Well, nothing much. It just means that home sellers that don't do everything that they possibly can to maximize the curb appeal of their home could ultimately be leaving money on the table. Not necessarily the case for every home seller, but I expect that to be more and more the case, and I'm really happy that, this article points it out. Now, let's talk about the coronavirus. Disaster of the month. Let's name all the disasters. We have Zika, we have SARS, we have mad cow disease, we have the hurricane of the month, and I don't mean to downplay by any means. I know people who have been personally affected by coronavirus and have had family members pass away. So do not want to downplay the importance of being I don't want to downplay the importance of this, right? At least in terms of protecting yourselves and taking precautionary measures, washing your hands, doing all the things that you need to do to make sure that you're staying as healthy as possible. However, the media, as we all know, and if you've been watching my videos for any period of time, you will know that I talk about this all the time. The media is designed to generate clicks, and so they will do anything to create a catastrophe mindset. So the catastrophe of the month, the disaster of the month this month is coronavirus. Obviously, we saw that had a major impact on the stock market for about a week. Things are rebounding nicely. So the only way that I see coronavirus having a long-term impact on the Bay Area housing market is if it continues to impact the stock market, which it doesn't seem like that's necessarily going to be the case. I think by the time April rolls around, everyone's going to forget that this even exists, because from my understanding, and I could be totally wrong, but from my understanding, I do have a bio degree. Okay, so I'm going to put my pre-med hat on here for a second. Most people experience flu-like symptoms, and that's it. So I expect the majority of healthy people to not be super affected by this, and I do expect that the housing market will there will be very little impact on the housing market unless consumer sentiment is impacted by it. And I think that the initial shock has already subsided. Even in the last couple days, I've seen less information out there. And what I would say is that if you're a home buyer, buy, because coronavirus has done something very, very nice for you, which is it's brought interest rates down to the lowest levels that they've been in forever. So if you're thinking about buying a house, the interest rates are right now more in your favor than they ever have been, and that it is an artificial injection of life back into the market because the Fed is worried about coronavirus having a very long-term impact on the welfare of our economy. As the election season rolls around, I expect there to be more noise out there and everything, but coronavirus is the noise right now, right? And so I only see it impacting it if it continues to affect the stock market, because buyers are not going to sell their stocks at a discount to go buy homes that are being sold for $400,000 or $500,000 over asking price. Period. Right. So if the stock market's on sale, no one's gonna liquidate their, a good portion of their assets to go buy a home that's inflated. Right. So you sell the deflated asset to buy the inflated asset. That doesn't make sense to me, right? But right now, I just don't see that being the case. I see a lot of there's clearly still lots of interest. Coronavirus has been in the news for 2 weeks now. I've had multiple offers on all my listings. I've been up in terms of buyers, helping buyers. I just helped a buyer this week, and we wrote an offer on a property that last December had been on the market for over 30 days. 0 offers, got pulled off the market in December. This month got put on the market, had 8 offers in 7 days. So the demand is there, and things are trending in the right direction for home sellers here in Santa Clara County. So do not let the disaster of the month affect the confidence that you have in yourself and your ability. Now, if it's affecting you in a different way and you have health issues and everything, well then, please take care of yourself. I don't want to downplay, again, I do not mean to downplay, I do not want to downplay how lethal this can potentially be. However, I see this as being just another way for the media to get your attention. And if you allow it to get your attention, then they've won, haven't they? This is Danny Gould with the Selling Silicon Valley Group. Thanks again for watching, everyone. Another Silicon Valley Market Snapshot, and I will catch all of you in the next video.